Your favorite Starbucks Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino is harder to find. But don't worry, I've got you. This homemade version is creamy, rich, and has all the layers you love. And it has a special ingredient that makes it even smoother. It's really easy to make, so let's get started. Begin by brewing a single shot of espresso. Or if you love espresso like I do, make it a double shot. But don't worry if you don't have an espresso machine. A coffee maker will work just fine. You'll just need to brew 4 ounces of very strong coffee. I went ahead and sped this part up on video, but I always think it looks really neat. Once you finish brewing the espresso or coffee, go ahead and put it in the fridge and let it cool for a few minutes. For step 2, we'll need 1.5 cups of ice. When you have it ready, just add it to your blender. Since we're making a standard single serving, I like these blender cups. And I found that 1.5 cups of ice gives it that great Frappuccino consistency. Now that the ice is added in, we're going to keep letting the espresso cool in the fridge. So next up, we'll be adding in the milk. We'll need 3/4 cup. It can be any type of milk, even a non-dairy option like oat or almond milk. I use 2% milk, but truly any type of milk will work. Once you have your 3/4 cup of milk ready, go ahead and add it to your blender. And next up, it's finally time for the espresso. By now it should be cool enough that it won't totally melt the ice. When you're ready, just pull it out of the fridge and add it to the other ingredients in the blender. And next up is one of the headline ingredients. I mean, it wouldn't be a Caramel Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino without caramel. And Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino just sounds weird. For this recipe, we'll need 3 tablespoons of caramel sauce. I use caramel sauce versus caramel syrup because it's thicker and it's creamier. When you have your 3 tablespoons ready, add it to the other ingredients in the blender. And next up, we got another sweet one for you. It's brown sugar. For this recipe, we'll be using 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. We use brown sugar because it contains molasses, and that blends nicely and actually enhances the caramel flavor. It works really well with this recipe. And when you have your 2 tablespoons ready, go ahead and add it in with the other ingredients. Next up is that special ingredient I mentioned at the beginning that makes the Frappuccino smoother. It's technically optional, but I always recommend it. It's 1/8 teaspoon of Xanthan Gum. Xanthan Gum, spelled Xanthan, thickens the texture and prevents separation. And you can find it in the baking aisle of most major grocery stores. A little bit goes a long way, so when you have your 1/8 teaspoon ready, add it to the blender. And guess what? Now we're ready to blend. To prepare for blending, make sure your lid is firmly secured. Then select the frozen drink setting or whatever similar setting that your blender has. This frozen drink setting blends a mixture for around 1 minute. And while the Frappuccino is blending, it's time for our quick goose fact. Did you know that Canada geese can join a new flock if they lose their old one? They're great at making new friends, especially during migration. Honk or give a thumbs up if you like making new connections. And now back to the recipe. Once your Frappuccino finishes blending, you're ready for the next step. And this recipe is a little bit different than most. We're going to bring the caramel sauce back out. And this time we're going to drizzle a little bit on the bottom of the glass. This will prepare your serving glass before we add in the Frappuccino. A couple teaspoons worth works fine. And now we're ready to add in the Caramel Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino. But make sure to go slow because we're only going to fill the glass halfway. Once you get close to the halfway point, stop because we're going to add in a couple more ingredients. And the first is whipped cream. You can use any type of whipped cream. When you have it ready, just add a couple tablespoons to your glass. And next up, we're going to add in a little bit of a crunch. I use the Heath Toffee baking bits. We don't have a deal with them or anything. I like that it gives the drink a sweet and salty crunch. But you can also use any type of crushed up cookies. I'll make sure to add all the ingredient info to the video description. We'll need 2 tablespoons of whatever crunchy ingredient you choose. But we're only going to sprinkle in around 1 tablespoon right now. We'll save the rest for the topping we add in at the end. Once we've added in the whipped cream and crunchy pieces, it's time to add in the other half of the Frappuccino. This is another area where you want to go slow so you don't overfill. You might notice that the whipped cream and crunchy pieces get mixed around when you're adding in the Frappuccino, and that is perfect. We want it to be mixed throughout. And now it's finally time for the fun topping. First, we're going to bring the whipped cream back out. You can add as much as you want, just make sure to leave some room for the last 2 toppings. When you're finished with the whipped cream, it should look something like this. Next, we're going to bring back the Heath Bar toffee pieces, or whatever other crushed up topping you've chosen. Just add in the remainder, which should be around 1 tablespoon. And last but not least, I like to bring the caramel sauce back out. Just drizzle a bit over the top and it should look something like this. This Caramel Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino does take a few extra steps, but we feel like it's well worth it. It turned out great and now it's finally ready to enjoy. But while we're enjoying, I wanted to entertain you with one of our kids' limited edition artwork. They take turns providing custom artwork for your viewing pleasure, and a majority of it can be considered abstract art. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future recipes or the associated drawings. We are a small but growing channel and it really does mean a lot. We've now finished this Caramel Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino, but now you need a recipe with more of a chocolate flavor. Check out our Java Chip Frappuccino recipe and I'll see you there.